When the best of the best step onto the mat, they're not easily submitted. Takedowns upon takedowns are stuffed. What is left are techniques and fighting IQ put to the test.
Yep. And then he's about to go again. 3.
Cardio and physique are called to question.
On the leg attack. Wow. And he gets it. Holy!
These are the yardsticks for the greatest BJJ fight ever, putting everything on the line through grit and sweat to get the victory. Giving a show that the fans will forever remember is what these fights are about. We always ask ourselves in any sport, what is the best moment? The best shot? The best goal? These are the best BJJ matches ever. It's game time. Two of the best grapplers of their era put their skill and strength to the test. This they will do 3 more times, but this time the submission of will was tasted. Roger Gracie, known as the greatest submission specialist with an incredible record of 62 submissions in 76 wins, placed his 7 winning streak on the line when he faced his nemesis, Ronald Jacare, who was also riding a 6 winning streak. The 2004 IBJJF Absolute Division Finals started with both fighters sizing up each other. Then, Roger pulled guard, but was outside the mat. The second time he did, Jacare wasn't having it until the referee stepped in, and Jacare obliged. Then, the exchange began in the guard of Roger for a while. Trying to free himself from Roger's grip, Jacare stood up, but was met with Roger's hand right up his ankle. Yet, he managed to pull free, masterfully sweep Roger to his back, getting the roar and applause of the crowd. After no success in locking both legs in for a choke, Jacare rolled over, and now Roger was making sure that his no loss by submission was kept intact. Then, he finally recovered, getting the 50-50, but Jacare was keeping his arms in check, not to get submitted. Pulling guard the second time, Jacare had no choice but to grapple in the pocket, and the armbar Roger had been looking for throughout the fight presented itself. Knowing he was up on the scorecard, Jacare wiggled and pulled away from the submission, but not without a broken arm. Jacare evaded every takedown attempt until the final bell, making Jacare the winner after a long day of scrambling from different positions. The early years of the 21st century presented us with one of the best, Eddie Bravo versus Royler Gracie. After winning the ADCC trials, young Eddie Bravo was prepared to face the best of the best in Brazil, and the reigning and defending champion of his division, Royler Gracie, was waiting. Running on a 17 winning streak, Royler was the guy not to mess with in the lightweight division. To crown how big this fight was, it was the first time a BJJ match would be broadcasted live in Brazil. The stakes were high, and only the best will shine the brightest on the biggest stage. The fight started with Eddie trying to pull Royler into his half guard, and Royler accepted the invitation with very strong head and arm control, not giving Eddie the chance for a left underhook control. These exchanges continued till Eddie underhooked Royler's left leg with his right arm, but Royler wasn't relenting. He needed to pass the guard to complete the choke. The struggle for the most dominance continued until suddenly, Eddie made an explosive sweep.
Oh, but I sweep him.
Entering full guard of Royler, and Royler in turn attempted a triangle, but Eddie escaped.
I'm safe now. Now I'm gonna sit back for 100%.
Taking no break, Eddie attempted a shoulder sweep.
But man, he has no shoulder.
But Royler was smart to escape and continued his head and arm pressure, getting into full guard. Noticing this, Eddie took full advantage of it, trying to secure an arm triangle.
Now, finally, full guard.
But Royler wasn't having any of it and escaped to a side mount.
Blasted right through.
Knowing time was not on his side, Eddie secured a jailbreak.
Now I'm gonna jailbreak him back in.
Grabbed his wrist, then locked in the triangle. Poor Royler swayed side to side, trying to free his head off the hook. But Eddie held on. He knew he was about to make history. By putting more pressure on Royler, by pulling his head, he had no chance. Either he taps or sleeps.
Tap, dude, tap, tap, tap. Finally pulled his head down and he tapped.
He did the latter. Although Eddie lost in the semifinals, this match was the most talked about in the competition. One of the greatest fights of this era was between Gary Tonin and Renato Canuto at ADCC 2019. Two flashy athletes meet at the center of the mat to give a spectacle of the ages. Their athleticism, flexibility, and reflexes were all put to the test. In a flash, Tonin attempted to take Canuto's back, but with the same speed, he scrambled off it, sticking to Canuto like glue. Tonin didn't let go, but Canuto was up to the task. Looking to the lead dance in the next exchanges, Canuto pulled Tonin into a takedown and then side control. Struggling to stand up, Tonin used the Granby roll to set himself free. Then, he decided it's payback time and initiated his own takedown, which he got, but was not able to hold it enough to get a point. 15 seconds before overtime, Canuto shoots twice, but the second was met with a pickup, drag, and a mount from Tonin, but it was too late to score any points. Overtime started with the same intensity. The scrambling continues, with both men not doing much. Tonin pressing, and Canuto defending beautifully till the end. Gary Tonin won due to passivity, and the crowd erupted in applause.
And the crowd are on their feet for Gary Tonin.
Recognizing that both athletes had put on a show for everyone. And this takes us to where Ffion Davies showed grit and resilience. The match started with both fighters showing what they're good at. Natalie, an open guard expert, and Ffion, a relentless pressure machine. Ffion, trying to use the open guard of Natalie against her, was caught off guard when those long legs were wrapped around her. Ffion Davies opted to stand up to wiggle her way out. Instead, she was met with a triangle choke that lasted for 5 minutes. Natalie trying to keep it tight, and Ffion struggling to survive. At exactly 5 minutes and 40 seconds into the fight, fate was reversed. Ffion popped her head off the triangle, scrambled to the back of Natalie, and got the finish. One of the biggest comebacks in the history books, the diamond nature of Ffion showed brightly. Styles make fights, and these BJJ matchups gave it all. The back and forth and sleekness of each fighter trying to dictate the fight with their style is something we love. If each of these fights are once in a lifetime, which would you go for?